You step up to a 3-foot putt. It's for par.
Oh, the classic high-pressure situation.
Right. You take a breath, make your stroke, and just watch the ball slide agonizingly past the low side of the cup. You missed.
It's the worst feeling in golf.
It really is. So what is the very first thing you do? If you're like me, you immediately, stare at your hands. You start tweaking your grip, muttering about your stroke path, or worrying that you flipped your wrists.
Yeah, that's what almost everyone does.
Well, according to a masterclass in putting diagnostics that we're doing a deep dive into today, tweaking your stroke right after a missed putt isn't just, slightly wrong. It is mathematically guaranteed to ruin your game.
It really is. I mean, it is the ultimate trap for golfers because we're inherently visual creatures, right? So we react to the visible result.
We see the ball miss right, so we try to fix the right miss.
Exactly. But reacting to the final outcome of a putt without understanding the entire chain of events that led up to it, it's just a recipe for permanent frustration.
That's why we're digging into some premium golf education today. We're pulling directly from a really incredible resource. It's called Module 1, Lesson 10, Integrating the Complete Puttalyze System.
It's a fantastic framework.
Yeah, and our mission here is to completely transform how you approach the green. We are, ditching the guesswork, we're throwing out subjective feel, and looking at putting as a hard, measurable science.
And to do that, we have to address the core problem on practice greens everywhere. The greatest mistake in golf instruction, and especially in how players try to self-correct, is fixing the visible symptom rather than identifying the actual cause.
Right.
A missed putt is not a diagnosis. I mean, it is merely a symptom.
Okay, let's unpack this. I love a good analogy. And looking at the source material, I was thinking about this in terms of medical treatment or even navigation.
Okay, I like where this is going.
Tinkering with your swing path because you missed the hole it's like taking a painkiller for a broken arm. Or, typing the wrong destination into your GPS.
That's a great way to frame it.
Right. Because you could be the greatest driver in the world. You could make perfect lane changes, accelerate flawlessly. But if your initial coordinates were off by just 1 degree, your perfect driving only gets you to the wrong city faster.
That is a phenomenal analogy. Perfect execution of a flawed plan is still, at the end of the day, a failure.
Yeah.
Let's say we have 2 different golfers, right? And they both miss a 10-foot putt on the exact same side of the hole. Say they both miss low and right.
Okay. Visually, the symptom is identical.
Exactly. They both look at the hole, groan, and probably think they pushed the ball.
I've been there.
We all have. But if we dig into the data, we might find that player A read the green perfectly, chose the right target, but left the putter face open at impact.
So a purely mechanical error for player A.
Right. But player B, however, made a flawless tour-level stroke that started the ball exactly on their intended line. But they completely misjudged the slope of the green before they even addressed the ball.
Oh, wow. So 2 identical misses, but 2 entirely different root causes.
Precisely. Which brings us to really the central paradigm shift of the Puttalyze system. The objective of diagnosing a putt isn't to correct the visible symptom.
Then what is it?
The objective is to identify the earliest meaningful cause within your complete performance system.
The earliest meaningful cause. Okay, hold on. That phrase sort of implied there's a rigid timeline happening behind the scenes.
There's a very strict sequence.
Yeah.
The Puttalyze performance process outlines a 9-step sequence that every single putt follows. No exceptions.
9 steps.
9 steps. It goes like this. Perceive, analyze, decide, visualize, align, execute, measure, interpret, adapt.
Wait, let me stop you right there. Perceive, analyze, decide, visualize, align, and then execute.
That's right.
That is 5 entirely separate, distinct cognitive stages before the putter even moves to strike the ball.
That is a lot, yeah.
If I am thinking about perceiving, analyzing, deciding, visualizing, and aligning while standing over a high-pressure 3-footer, aren't I going to overthink myself into total paralysis?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, this sounds like a recipe for a panic attack on the 18th green.
That is actually the most common pushback from players when they first see the science. And, well, it's a fair point. But you have to separate conscious training from subconscious performance.
Okay, how so?
Think about when you are learning to drive a car. You consciously think about checking the mirror, pressing the clutch, engaging the gear, finding the biting point, steering. It's overwhelming.
Totally. It feels impossible at first.
Right. But after a year, you do all those steps while, singing along to the radio. The brain chunked the sequence into a fluid habit.
Oh, I see. So the goal of this diagnostic system isn't to consciously grind through all 9 steps on every single putt during the club championship.
No, definitely not.
It's to use the steps as a diagnostic tool in practice to figure out where your subconscious habit is breaking down.
Exactly. We use the sequence to find the breakdown because of what we call the cascade effect. What's fascinating here is that since putting is a strict chronological sequence, an error early in this chain corrupts every single stage that follows.
It cascades down.
Right. If you fail at step 1, perceive meaning you incorrectly perceive the physical reality of the slope, well, your analysis is flawed.
Which means your decision on where to aim is flawed.
And your alignment is flawed.
And like the GPS analogy, your perfect stroke just sends the ball perfectly to the wrong spot.
Exactly. Good execution cannot compensate for a bad read.
So if a player is missing putts, how exactly do we test that sequence in reverse? Because honestly, standing on the green, it all just happens in a blur.
Yeah, let's walk through a real-world scenario to show exactly how a player can diagnose themselves tomorrow. Let's take that golfer who repeatedly misses putts below the hole.
Okay, the visible result is identical every time.
Right. So we start our investigation working backward from the earliest possible cause. Step 1, physical conditions and green writing.
So we evaluate their perception of the environment.
Exactly. Did they correctly identify the fall line, the slope percentage, the green speed, and the clock position?
Okay, I need to pause you again because we're dropping some serious golf science jargon here. Let's demystify these for a second. Start with the fall line. What exactly is that?
Oh, sure. So the fall line is the single straight line directly up or down the slope, going right through the hole.
Like if I poured water on the green.
That's a perfect way to visualize it. If you poured a bucket of water on the hole, the direction the water naturally flows down the slope, that is the fall line, every breaking putt relates to where you are standing relative to that straight line.
Got it. And clock position. I assume that's imagining the hole as the center of a clock face.
Yes, it's a way to conceptualize how the ball enters the cup on a slope. If the fall line is the 12 to 6 axis, a ball approaching from the side might need to enter at the 8 o'clock or 4 o'clock position because, gravity is pulling it down.
So if a golfer is missing low, step 1 asks, did they even know where the 12 o'clock fall line was?
Right.
Because if they thought the slope was a mild 1% grade and it's actually a steep 3% grade, we stop the diagnosis right there. The mechanics of their swing don't even matter yet. They just read the green wrong.
Exactly. If the physical information is incorrect, every calculation that follows is doomed. But let's say they read it perfectly. We then move to step 2, the decision.
Okay.
Once the conditions are confirmed, did the golfer select the correct aim point, the correct distance point, and the correct target speed?
I really want to jump in and emphasize something from the text here because a key rule really stood out to me. It says, a clear decision always precedes a committed stroke.
That is vital.
You have to actually commit to a singular solution before execution begins. You cannot be standing over the ball, second-guessing the speed, like negotiating with yourself while you're pulling the club back.
Hesitation ruins execution. The nervous system needs absolute clarity to fire correctly. So, assuming the read was right and the decision was clear, we move to step 3, alignment.
And this is where things get psychologically tricky, right?
Very. We have to ask, was the putter face actually aligned to that intended aim point? Or was the golfer, perhaps unconsciously, aiming at the actual hole?
The magnetic hole. You do all the math, you pick a spot 2 feet to the right of the cup, you step up to the ball, and as you settle in, your peripheral vision locks onto the hole.
It pulls you in.
Yeah. Your brain panics because it feels wrong to aim into open space, and you subtly twist your putter face back toward the cup.
It happens constantly, even to professionals. Our visual perception is heavily influenced by our body alignment and binocular vision. You might swear you're aimed at your target, but your putter face is aimed 3 inches left.
So how does a listener actually test this? How do I know if I misread the green in step 1 or if the magnetic hole hijacked my alignment in step 3?
You need a tangible diagnostic tool. The easiest way is using a chalk line or an elevated string line on the practice green.
Oh, like a physical string above the ball.
Right. Find a perfectly straight, flat putt. Snap a chalk line directly to the center of the cup. Address the ball. If your putter face isn't perfectly square to that chalk line, you have an alignment issue.
And for breaking putts.
If you are practicing a breaking putt, place a string line over your intended starting line. If the ball starts perfectly under the string but misses the hole, Your alignment and stroke were great. You just misread the slope.
That is brilliant. You isolate the variables.
Mm-hmm.
If it hits the string line but misses the hole, it's a software problem, the green read.
Exactly.
But if it misses the string line entirely, it's a hardware problem, the stroke itself.
Which finally brings us to step 4, execution.
Yes, stroke and impact. Notice how far down the diagnostic chain we are before we even talk about the swing. Only now do we look at mechanics, things like face angle, face rotation, club path, attack angle, and ball speed.
Let's define a couple of those quickly so everyone is on the same page. Face rotation is just how much the putter face opens on the backswing and closes on the through swing, right? Correct. Some players have a lot of rotations, some try to keep it perfectly square to the arc. The key isn't how much rotation you have, it's whether you can deliver the face square to your intended line at the exact moment of impact.
Got it. And attack angle.
That is whether the putter is traveling slightly downward, level, or slightly upward as it strikes the ball. An upward attack angle helps the ball launch with pure top spin, rather than skidding and bouncing off the face.
So it's amazing that stroke mechanics is step 4. Most of us, when we miss a putt, immediately start tinkering with our grip or worrying about our wrists.
Because it's what we feel in our hands.
Right. You're trying to fix a hardware problem when the actual issue was a perceptual software bug back in step 1. But there is a crucial scientific principle regarding this execution stage in the source material that fascinated me.
Which one?
It says distance control and aim can never be evaluated independently. Why is that? They feel like two entirely separate skills, like hit it on this line and hit it this hard.
Because physically, on a sloping green, direction and speed always work together to support the calculated trajectory. They are mathematically linked by gravity.
How so?
If you hit the ball with more speed, it fights gravity longer, meaning it takes less break. If you hit it softer, it succumbs to gravity sooner and takes more break.
So there isn't just one perfect line to the hole. There is a fast line with less break and a slow, dying line with maximum break.
Precisely. We call it capture speed. You have to match the line to the specific speed you intend to hit. So when evaluating a missed putt, you cannot say, well, I hit it on the perfect line, but just hit it too hard.
Because the line changes with the speed.
Exactly. If you hit it harder, that line was no longer the correct line. You have to measure if both the target speed and the intended line were achieved together.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. To our listeners heading to the practice green tomorrow, this brings us to a massive game-changing concept from the text called the rule of one, or one intervention at a time.
This is paramount for anyone serious about self-improvement. Once you have used the string line or the chalk line, gone through the diagnostic sequence, and found your root cause, you only adjust one priority.
Which totally goes against every instinct in our bodies. You find out your posture is bad, your grip is weak, and your read is awful. You want to fix all of it right now in the next 5 swings.
Of course you do. We all want a quick fix.
But the science says attempting to change multiple variables simultaneously absolutely destroys learning efficiency. I was reading this and thinking, it's like trying to learn conversational Japanese while simultaneously learning how to juggle flaming torches.
You aren't going to get good at either. You're just going to get burned while yelling in confusion.
Exactly. You can't process that much novel sensory information at once.
The nervous system gets completely overloaded. The brain needs focused repetition to build a myelin sheath around a neural pathway to make a habit automatic.
Okay.
That's why the Puttalyze system dictates a very strict rule. One diagnosis. One intervention, one measurable improvement.
So you prioritize the biggest performance gain, not the longest list of corrections.
Right. You define one single objective, you prescribe one drill, you measure the improvement, and only then do you progress to the next priority.
Give me the one thing that fixes the biggest chunk of the problem, rather than 10 tiny tweaks that just scramble my brain. So how does a listener actually practice this? I mean, what does a single focus drill actually look like?
Well, the philosophy is that every drill must answer one specific coaching question. Purpose always comes before repetition. If you are just blindly hitting 50 putts toward a hole, you aren't training. You're just exercising.
So true.
Let's say your diagnosis showed an issue with rhythm and tempo. You would use a drill specifically designed for that, like a core putt drill.
And what does a core putt drill look like?
It might involve putting to the beat of a metronome set to 75 beats per minute, or closing your eyes and solely focusing on the feeling of a center face strike without even caring where the ball goes. You isolate the rhythm.
I like that. And what if the issue is direction?
Conversely, if your issue was controlling your start line, the ball isn't going where you aim, You might use a face control drill. You set up a gate made of 2 tees just slightly wider than the golf ball, about a foot in front of your putter.
Just a tiny little gate.
Exactly. If you can putt the ball through the tees without hitting them, your face was square at impact. The drill matches the single priority.
Does this rule of 1 and this intense 9-step sequence hold up for a total beginner? Let's say I bring a friend to the course who has never held a putter. They are doing literally everything wrong. Where do you even start if you can only pick one thing?
That is the beauty of an evidence-based system. The scientific principles perceive, analyze, decide, execute. They never change. They are like gravity.
Right.
But how we apply the science scales to the player, because every golfer learns differently. For a total beginner, the objective is building a solid foundation and preventing overload.
So no talk of attack angles or face rotation.
You avoid complex technical jargon entirely. The one intervention is usually fundamental setup, grip, posture, and ball position. You use simple demonstrations to build confidence, teach fundamentals before refinement.
Keep it simple, get them hitting the ball, let them feel the joy of the game. What about me, the recreational player, the weekend warrior? I break 90 sometimes, but I 3-putt entirely too often.
The recreational golfer usually possesses basic motor skills, but they desperately lack consistency. So the focus of the system shifts. We target distance control, green reading, and building a repeatable pre-putt routine.
Consistency is definitely the dream.
And this is where objective measurements become a superpower. When a weekend player uses a string line and finally sees the data on why they missed, realizing, hey, their stroke is actually fine, but their alignment is tilted, it replaces their immense frustration with logical understanding.
It stops being a dark art and becomes a solvable puzzle.
Exactly.
And I assume the elite players, like the competitive amateurs and tour pros, are using the exact same framework.
Yes, but at the elite level, players already possess highly developed technical skills. The worst thing a coach can do is introduce unnecessary technical interventions and paralyze a pro with overthinking. You aren't rebuilding their technique.
So what are you doing with them?
The focus shifts to precision, marginal gains, statistical analysis, and pressure practice. The goal is to preserve performance rather than rebuild it, optimizing their decision-making under severe tournament conditions.
The system adapts to the human. I know the source material also mentions adapting for seniors by focusing on their physical capabilities, like mobility and equipment.
Yes, and focusing on movement quality, creativity, and enjoyment for juniors. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the goal is to adapt the coaching to the golfer, not the golfer to the coaching.
That makes perfect sense. The scientific principles never change, only the communication and emphasis do. So, bringing this all together, what does this mean for you, the listener, standing on the practice green tomorrow morning?
It means you need to reframe what a successful practice session looks like. The ultimate goal of this system isn't just better technique or achieving a prettier putting stroke. It's better performance and creating an independent golfer.
Independent, meaning I don't need to text a coach a video of my swing every time I miss a putt. I have the tools to figure it out myself.
Precisely. By utilizing objective performance data, face rotation consistency, ball speed repeatability, 3-putt percentage, you stop relying on assumption. You start relying on evidence.
Which is huge.
The greatest players in the world understand their own performance. They can identify their own common errors based on symptom patterns and solve their own challenges through a true understanding of the science.
So let's distill our key takeaways. First, diagnose causes, not symptoms. Don't just stare at the hole wondering why the ball didn't drop. Work backward through the chronological sequence to find the root error. Was it the read, the decision, the alignment, or the stroke? Perfect. Second, measure continuously. Measure, evaluate, adjust. Third, teach one priority at a time. The rule of 1. Put down the flaming torches and just focus on learning the language.
Just one thing.
And fourth, build your confidence through a true objective understanding of the science.
When you truly understand the why and the how behind a breaking putt, you replace uncertainty with a structured process. Understanding the physics creates mechanical improvement. Improvement creates confidence. And confidence creates consistency under pressure.
It really changes how you look at the game. Every missed putt is just a new data point. It makes it a puzzle to solve rather than a mystery to endure. And that brings us to our final thought for today. A little something for you to mull over the next time you step onto the green, mark your ball, and line up a shot.
What's the thought?
If a missed putt is just a symptom of a much earlier error, what invisible assumption are you making on the green that is sabotaging your stroke before you even pull the putter back? If you found today's episode valuable, please subscribe to our channel. Every subscription helps us continue producing evidence-based golf education for golfers and coaches around the world. If you have a golf question, topic idea, or challenge you would like us to research, test, or explain, please leave a comment, contact us on LinkedIn, or send us an email. If you're ready to improve your putting performance, join our 30-day Puttalyze Green Reading and Putting Certification course, where you'll learn green reading, speed and distance control, setup, alignment, aim, stroke mechanics, and a proven system for reading greens with greater confidence and consistency.